Welcome to our podcast. Today, we're diving into a pretty explosive topic revolving around Trump's recent threat and how it's sparking a massive reaction from BRICS nations, with reports suggesting over 100 nations might ditch the US if China cancels its Wall Street ties.
Wow, that's really intense. So we're talking about tariffs and entire alliances shifting gears, right?
Exactly. It's like Trump's trade war just has escalated to a new level. There's this ultimatum being thrown out by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent with a hard deadline on August
Yep.
1. And with that, over 100 nations are now staring down the barrel of massive tariffs.
Massive tariffs indeed. And it seems like it's not just about trade numbers, but also about shifting global power, right?
Right? It's not just the numbers. It's really about the global financial order flipping like never before. On one hand, you have Trump lashing out with threats, and on the other, China's BRICS alliance appears to be canceling Wall Street deals one by one. It almost feels like a high-stakes game of chess.
And didn't they mention something about soaring gold reserves and collapsing treasury demand? That really hints at a fundamental shift in investor trust.
Oh, absolutely. When nations start boosting their gold reserves, it often signals that they're hedging against currency and economic instability. And with treasury demand collapsing, it's like investors are pulling their faith out of US financial instruments.
Yeah,
It's a major
exactly.
red flag.
And what's happening in Europe? I heard Germany is investing heavily in Chinese stocks now. That's a pretty big pivot.
Totally, it's a notable shift. Germany, traditionally very reliant on US financial stability, seems to be aligning more with China's economic clout. It underscores like the confidence that these nations now have in the BRICS alliance compared to what they see from the US. This could really reconfigure global trade alliances.
So let me get this straight. If China's BRICS continues its aggressive financial moves, is there a risk that the US gets isolated in the global economy?
That's the big question here, isn't it? It's like the US might inadvertently isolate itself by playing a too aggressive role in trade wars. America's responses might cause a ripple effect, and nations could start finding other partners to secure their economic interests.
Yeah, indeed. But isn't there a counter argument that Trump's threats might actually be a bluff to, rally domestic support or something along those lines?
Sure, that's a valid point. Some say it might be just political posturing on the international stage to shore up his base. But then again, the concrete aspects, like that August 1st ultimatum and the drastic step of canceling Wall Street deals, suggest that there's real movement here. I mean, these aren't just empty words.
Interesting. So essentially, we're seeing a potential reshuffle of global alliances and a challenge to US dominance in global finance?
Exactly, it's like a complete reset. You have more than 100 nations being threatened with tariffs. And in parallel, there's a maneuvering by China's BRICS alliance that might be absorbing and rerouting global trade away from US influence. Think of it like, well, it's like rearranging the furniture in a room where the old layout no longer seems to work.
Right. And I imagine that this kind of shift might have a lot of economic repercussions at multiple levels, from everyday consumers to global markets.
Absolutely. For example, these massive tariffs can increase import costs, and if you're a nation that depends on US-based technologies or raw materials, that can really disrupt supply chains. Meanwhile, as China's alliances grow stronger, financial markets and even gold prices can experience significant volatility.
I see what you're saying. It's not just a political chess game anymore, but something that could actually impact the price at the gas pump or even your grocery bill.
Exactly. It's very much connected. Financial instability in one region can lead to increased costs worldwide. And these moves, they might set off a chain reaction, like nations hedging their bets by switching away from US financial assets and investing in alternatives, such as Chinese stocks or even
Yeah,
gold.
precisely. Speaking of hedging bets, do you think that these shifts are a sign of the US isolating itself into irrelevance?
That's a strong possibility. When you see one of the world's major economies like the US taking such hardline stances, it can inadvertently push other nations to seek stability elsewhere. It's kind of like if you continuously ban someone from joining your team, eventually they'll form their own winning team outside your circle.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty vivid analogy. But isn't there a chance that the US could recalibrate and restore balance before things go too far off course?
You might hope so, but the pressure seems intense, with the BRICS nations already coordinating moves, like canceling deals that have long been, institutionalized on Wall Street. It's not a small shift. And let's not overlook the role of financial indicators. Collapsing treasury demand and soaring gold reserves suggest a high degree of uncertainty about U.S.
Yeah, I
economic
get it.
leadership.
It makes you wonder if this is a temporary backlash or the start of a long-term realignment in global finance.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It could be both a reaction to a specific set of aggressive policies, or it could indicate a more permanent slippage in U.S. global influence. Either way, it's like watching a domino effect in slow motion, where one push leads to many collapses.
Mm-hmm. And with the August 1 deadline looming, the pressure is really on. So, how do you think these events will play out in the near future?
Honestly, it's hard to say. But if we follow the current trends, we're likely to see further consolidation within the BRICS alliance. China's strategic moves, like canceling entrenched Wall Street deals, are aimed at, recalibrating the financial system to better serve its new order. Meanwhile, Trump's aggressive rhetoric might just fuel the fire rather than solve anything.
Right, that makes sense. I can totally see that. And it's interesting how history sometimes reflects this, like past shifts in global power. When new financial orders emerge, there's always a period of turbulence before stability is reestablished.
Exactly. It's like transitioning from one era to another, a period of uncertainty followed by a new equilibrium. In our current scenario, if the US continues with such aggressive trade tactics, it might just accelerate its decline in global financial influence.
I agree. But wouldn't you say that this situation could also force the US to innovate and adjust its policies? Sometimes a wake-up call can lead to significant change.
That's a fair point. There's always the potential for recalibration when pressures mount. If policymakers recognize the risks, they might adopt more cooperative strategies. However, the current narrative does seem more about retribution than reconciliation. And once nations commit to such a realignment, undoing that momentum isn't easy.
Yeah, you've got a point there. What do you make of the public reaction to these developments? I mean, how do you think people around the world are processing this?
It's a mix, really. There's concern about the economic fallout. Prices might rise, supply chains could get disrupted, and then there's this geopolitical narrative of the US versus a rising multipolar world. Many see the aggressive stance as a sign that the old order is crumbling.
Yep, definitely. And interestingly, social media is buzzing with reactions from all sides. Some people back the move as a sign of taking a stand. Others see it as reckless leadership that could backfire disastrously.
Absolutely. And that divergence in opinion is exactly what makes this situation so complex. On one hand, you have nations seeking to protect their own interests in a volatile market. On the other, you have a US administration that seems, well, defiant. It's like walking a tightrope without a safety net.
Exactly. Speaking of walking tightropes, there's an element of unpredictability here that reminds me of high-stakes negotiations in sports or business. One wrong move and the whole structure might collapse.
Yeah, it's like watching a thriller unfold in real time. Each decision could lead to massive repercussions. For instance, if the tariffs are imposed and further alliances break off, that could trigger an economic spiral, not just regionally, but globally.
Right, that's a real possibility. And at the heart of it, there's this question. Will these aggressive actions lead to a new financial order that's more inclusive, or will it just create more division?
That's the ultimate challenge. Will the global economy converge into a multipolar system that benefits a broader coalition of nations? Or will unilateral actions, like those coming from the US, deepen divisions? It's a high stakes balancing act, and the coming months are likely to be very telling.
Agreed. So, as we keep an eye on these developments, it seems clear that the repercussions of these moves could shake the very foundations of global finance and international relations.
Precisely. And while there's a ton of uncertainty, one thing is sure. The era of unilateral dominance is under a serious fire. People all over the world are watching, and the decisions made now could define the economic landscape for decades.
Yeah, it's both exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. Thanks for unpacking that with me. It definitely gives us a lot to think about on how interconnected and volatile international economics can be.
Absolutely. And we'll be keeping a close watch as these stories develop. Thanks for joining in on this deep dive. Until next time, stay informed and keep questioning the big moves on the global stage.